Ever since I dove deep into Baldur's Gate 3 since it came out, I've been hooked. The game made me love RPGs even more, and honestly, it inspired me to create my very own. Now, I'm not a professional game developer by any means, but that didn't stop me. I dusted off my RPG Maker copy, which has been sitting in my Steam library for ages, and got to work. And guess what? I finished my very own RPG that you can play now for free. But before I tell you how to download it, let me take you through my journey of how Baldur's Gate 3 led me through this project. So after spending countless of hours in Baldur's Gate 3, I was inspired. I mean, come on, Larian crafted something incredible with their story, characters and combat. But me, I had zero game developer experience. No budget, no team, just an idea and a passion for RPGs. Then I looked again to RPG Maker in my library and thought, why not? Right off the bat, I knew my game wouldn't be anywhere near as complex as BG3. I had two goals in mind. One, to keep it simple, and two, to actually finish it. Even if it's going to be short, I wanted it to be complete, playable and fun. I mean, that's the whole reason why we play games in the first place, right? So for my first game, I wanted to create something old school, with a retro RPG feel, something reminiscent of games like Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest and Pokemon. That was also because RPG Maker gives you those classic graphics and turn-based battle system right out of the box. And while you can add your own custom tilesets and plugins, I decided to stick with the basics for now. There's a certain charm in that simplicity, I think. When it came to the story, I didn't want anything too complicated. I mean, at this point I was still figuring out how everything works. So I created a protagonist called Dimix, a typical adventurer with big dreams of joining a guild to earn some gold. Yeah, and I know it's a bit cliche, but you know, every RPG needs a hero, a villain and a plot to get things rolling. So I opened the game with a classic trope. The king gets overthrown by a villain, and now Dimix is setting off a journey that's bigger than he expected. And going back to Baldur's Gate 3, I really loved how reactive the world felt. NPCs noticed what was happening around them and commented on it. And even if my stupid little game was very simple, I kinda wanted the same feeling of immersion in my game, so I made sure the NPCs reacted to big story events that happened in town. So if something happens there, people are going to say something different than their usual line. I also wanted to implement some funny moments into the game. So for example, Dimix can knock on his neighbor's door repeatedly just to annoy him. And you might find something odd in your grandma's closet. I think these stupid little moments give the game more personality and keep it from feeling too serious. And you know, since Baldur's Gate 3 has a lot of romance, Dimix might have a little love interest later down the line. It's small, stupid, but it has a little charm. Okay, so the first town I created has everything you would expect. A blacksmith, an inn, and of course the Adventurers Guild itself. Oh yeah, and also some houses where the people live. I took inspiration from the cozy vibes of the old Pokemon games, where every house and tell felt welcoming and familiar. You know, those good childhood memories before the leaks happened and now your childhoods are forever ruined. Now, where Baldur's Gate 3 influenced me most was combat, because going back to Pokemon, I wanted to avoid random encounters like those endless Zubat fights in the old games. I mean, we all hated that, right? So I made sure that all enemies are visible in the world. If you want to fight, you just walk up to them, and if not, you can avoid them entirely. It's similar to how BG3 lets you see and engage with enemies on your own terms. But also like BG3, I do recommend you fight them because you do need all the XP. So for the battles, I kept things simple but added some nice twists. You've got your standard melee attacks, spells, items, blocking and, because I love a good over-the-top moment, ultimate attacks. You can build this ultimate meter in battle and when the bar fills up, you can unleash a devastating skill to wipe out your enemies. And what's a battle without loot, right? So I borrowed an idea from a game called Tales of Arise, where monsters don't drop gold directly. Instead, they drop monster parts that you can sell for gold. This felt more immersive to me, and if a boss drops an epic equipment, that means they were actually carrying it with them. Another thing that really stuck with me from BG3 was how interactive the world felt. I wanted to recreate that sense of discoverability, so I made sure every item in my game could be interacted with. Whether it's finding a bit of gold hidden in a bucket, or Dimmix making a funny comment about something he finds in the world, I wanted players to feel rewarded for exploring. Notice I don't talk a lot about the story itself, but that's for a reason of course. That is because I don't like story spoilers, because if you do decide to play the game, I want you to go in as blind as possible. So with these goals set in mind, I finished the rest of the game. And without spoiling too much of the story, you'll eventually visit other beautiful places like a magical enchanted forest where it doesn't snow. You know, since it's winter and it snows everywhere except here. You'll also visit other bigger dungeons, a small nice church town, and fight boss battles like a giant goblin or even a huge ghost that is immune to melee attacks. I even implemented a new system where a Fae can combine two versions of the same spell into a stronger version. For example, you have the fire spell, but as you level up you get a better fire spell, rendering the other one useless. But if you decide to visit a Fae, she combines both versions into a spell called Fae Fire, making it a little stronger but also reducing the MP cost. So this game also has a few unique touches on its own. So feel free to experiment around and I hope you like it. I created the overworld, more dungeons, all the enemies, the characters, cutscenes, a lot of nice loot, and after a lot of work, my game was finally playable. I uploaded a few beta versions for people to playtest, and their feedback really helped me refine it, just like Larian did with Baldur's Gate 3 during early access. I wanted to make sure that even though my stupid little game was small, it felt polished. And honestly, I didn't expect much at all. I figured a simple RPG made in RPG Maker wouldn't get much attention at all. But to my surprise, over 300 people decided to play it. And I've got some great feedback. People called it a wholesome old school RPG adventure and even compared it to a D&D game. And also some great other feedback about the balance and mechanics of the game. So I decided to listen to everyone's feedback and implement it all. I re-uploaded the new beta builds and more people started to love it. Eventually, it even got a 4.5 star rating out of 5, which I'm kinda proud of considering how many small games like this gets overlooked. And remember, this was my first game and project I ever put out there. So with all of that in mind, I uploaded my final build of the game. So if you're curious, you can play my RPG for free right now. And it's called A King's Son. It's a short game, about 3 or 4 hours long if you decide to explore everything. And I've made it as accessible as possible for anyone who wants to try it. You can find the download link in the description and pinned comment. There are some install instructions, but it's very simple. But just to be sure, I will also write a detailed comment on how to install it down below. And hey, if you do play it, do come back and let me know what you guys think. I would love to hear your feedback and thoughts. And if you managed to find the little secrets I put in the game. Oh, and also a huge shout out to other YouTubers like Goldheart, Dev757 Gaming and Gameplay Floripa for playing my game on their channels. It means a lot. And if you also liked this video, I really appreciate every like, comment and subscribe. So thank you all for watching, have fun with the game, and I will see you all next time.